Mohan, our foreign affairs editor, is on ground. She is reporting from Donetsk right now. Geeta is joining us live. Geeta, give us a sense of the situation on the ground. You've traveled from Moscow to Donetsk, the first Indian channel to be present in that region. What is the situation on the ground and what is Russia's plan of action now that we are entering day 32 of this invasion?
Well, we are in, like you rightly pointed out, in Donetsk, the first Indian channel to be here. And there are major issues over here when it comes to logistics. SIM cards not available. The reason why I'm reporting out of our hotel right now. We'll figure out the SIM cards because most of the SIM cards over here, Donetsk, remember, has been declared an independent republic. So they have their own company, and that company has sent out all the SIM cards to the people who are now signing up to fight for Donetsk. There are issues over here when it comes to Ukraine. Why is Ukraine not a part of the European Union? Many ask the question because of the trouble within the Donbas region, and the people over here are questioning whether if they want to remain with Ukraine or not. Does not justify an invasion, does not justify any country violating another country's territorial integrity and sovereignty. But this is a part which has largely Russian origin people, and they feel they have been let down or have been meted out with a second-class treatment by the Ukrainian authorities. The reason why they're fighting this war. So what's happening over here? Donbas is now the war zone. President Putin announced that the military operation's second leg is going to be to ensure independence of Donbas. We've heard a lot of fighting that is underway in various parts. We'll be going there to show you the real picture. It is Russia and Donbas versus the Ukrainian authorities. People at the end of the day are paying a heavy price for it, whether if it is in the Donbas region or eastern parts of Ukraine. So a lot of logistics issues over here. The city also wears a very dead look because since 2014, most of the people from here have traveled out to Russia to work because things have stopped over here. This is an absolutely rich, coal-rich region and part of Ukraine. A lot of money, very prosperous. But since 2014, things have not gone down well economically for the people. So they've moved out. So there are big, huge buildings with no work happening, huge apartment complexes where only a few people are staying, and with the war now underway, most of the youth and youngsters have signed up. So they're out in the front lines. We'll be taking you through all that. There are layers and layers in the Russia-Ukraine conflict. And remember, United States of America in the 2014 conflict and now is speaking of democracy, not questioning what really is happening on the ground in Ukraine, because Ukraine is of interest to the United States of America, to the West, to Europe. Let's not forget the layers that exists in this entire conflict, in the war that is underway between Ukraine and Russia. And while Russia is in violation, we'll still have to see what's happening on the ground here in Donbas and what's the people's view of the entire conflict.
Right. Geeta, since you've had such a broad understanding of the situation on the ground, you've reported from Ukraine, you've been to Russia as well, now you're in the region which is considered to be on the side of Russia, part of Ukraine, but on the side of Russia as well. I'm trying to understand, in your assessment, why has Russia sort of moved back in the second leg of this invasion to the Donbas region, which is in a sense supporting Russia? Is it because it is facing resistance and is not being able to make its inroads into some of the key Ukrainian cities that are still holding fort, and hence it has moved back to the region which it had declared as sovereign much before this invasion started?
Well, a very good question and a very good point indeed. Why has Russia moved back? Now, the West and the European Union, including Ukraine, would want to believe that Russia has moved back. One has to give it to the Ukrainian authorities and Ukraine, the fight and the determination that we saw in Ukraine to protect their motherland, to protect their territory. It was astounding. And they continue to do that. They've been able to manage to hold key cities and take back some of the very crucial areas. But let's go back to what President Putin has said in all his statements. Did he ever say he wants to annex Ukraine? He only said that, and the pretext Russia has given, may be wrong, but the pretext Russia has given is that the Donbas region needs independence, and for that, if they need to fight Ukraine, they'll fight Ukraine. Invasion, invasion certainly an issue over here, but annexation, not really. The plan over here and plan of action is to see that eastern Ukraine. Now, if Ukraine goes pro-West, if Ukraine continues to have a pro-West tilt, Russia needs a buffer zone, because they are looking at, and maybe this was a pretext because of the NATO expansion, and they do not want an expansion towards Ukraine. But there is a realization and an understanding that if they continue this war in West Ukraine, it reaps no benefits for Russia or for the Donbas region. Why? Because Ukraine is not going to enter the NATO. Ukraine is not going to be part of the European Union. We've seen President Biden go there and promise more aid, humanitarian aid, unless and until they would have really lived up to their assurances given to President Zelensky. There is nothing much else to do over there. Right now, it is important for President Putin to secure the Donbas region. And that's why the military operations are going to shift exactly where I am. This is the war zone.
Okay, this is the war zone. Geeta Mohan reporting fearlessly and live from inside the war zone. She will be, of course, showing us through the course of the day some of those conflict areas in the Donbas region where she is at the moment. Geeta Mohan, thank you so much for joining us. Stay safe. Now, as the war between Ukraine and Russia enters its 32nd day, the town of Slavich that services the defunct Chernobyl nuclear plant remains completely isolated with Russian forces just beyond the town's limits. Here's a report.